A lot of my passion is helping people improve their health. And I allow what I'll call God or my inner being to guide me to where I should learn things. Because I can go every weekend, I could be gone learning new things and such. And so I get that place. And so I trust that where God sends me is information that I should know to help people change.
Good, exactly.
Yeah. And so you have these comments about a person, this was, I think it was Los Angeles in January. Someone was asking about vaccinations. And you made the comment where you...
Dun, dun.
And in theory, vaccinations are wonderful, or should be, and such. And the comment you made that children, want to be leaving these, that they want them and such, and it's part of this evolving world. But the science of it is that you have this thing that's possibly good, but it's combined with all of these other chemicals that my patients come to me because they're damaged by them. And so the message I was getting was that I should ignore all this other information I've learned as far as what these do to our neurological systems and such.
We're going to sort this out with you in a way that's completely satisfying to you. But let's begin by, we liked what you said about how you feel guided. How you feel guided. And that's what we desire for everyone. We want you to feel your individual guidance. We want you to nurture whatever that is that puts you in that place of being in the receiving mode so that you can receive the individual precisely interpreted and processed and sent deliberately to you information. We want for everyone to be in that place where they can receive what's best for them. But as we were saying earlier, everyone has beliefs that are along their physical trail that represent resistance that keep them often from getting to the place that they want. And so everyone has to work their way through the resistance. We want to say in simplest terms that nothing as it stands in its manifested form should ever supersede the intuitive guidance that comes forth from within. We are so pleased to hear that from you, the first words that you said to us as you sat down here. So another way of saying that is that there is nothing in the world that could be tested and supported by lots of people and touted as a good thing that should ever supersede your own intuitive guidance. But a lot of people have not been fostering or nurturing their intuitive guidance. They're a long way. They're not even listening to what's coming forth from within, you see. So we're going to make a bold statement and then we'll chew further with you. There is nothing that anyone could do that would be more detrimental to them personally than to do something that they believe would be harmful to them. In other words, if you believe something that's harmful and then you participate in it, it's going to be harmful to you. Because your belief in what it is going to block any good that would come from it anyway. And so that's what's so interesting about all of these studies is that until you are able to understand the vibrational basis, then you don't really understand why you're getting the results that you're getting anyway. Do you agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah. We're not encouraging anyone to take vaccine or not. It's not about that. What we're interested in teaching is how to come into alignment so that the perfect next logical step occurs to you. And sometimes the next logical step would be take the vaccine because it's perfect for what you're looking for. Sometimes the next logical step would be to do something else because it isn't. There is no thing that is perfect for everyone, and there is no thing that is perfect for anyone all the time. Isn't that interesting? Mm-hmm. Because what you've got going on vibrationally is so important to understand. So now have we made it worse?
I'm with that. I agree. We are dynamic beings and we're continually creating.
Would you make a statement to the world, just a blanket statement that vaccines are good? We're just going to ask you the question or two just to make our point, and then would you make a blanket statement to the world, vaccines are good? All vaccines are good, yes or no?
I cannot make that statement.
Would you make a statement to the world that some vaccines are good?
Possibly.
Let's talk about, and you can guide this because you know this in clearer terms than the vocabulary that Esther's going to find for it. But the very nature of your experience here in these bodies. We explained it to you just now. You come from source energy, and a part of you comes into this environment, and you sift through the data, through the contrast, through the variety, and in knowing what you don't want, you launch rockets of desires of what you do want. And the entire universe, the evolution of all species, is about that. Exposure to life causes the perspective of the individual consciousness, even on a cellular and subcellular level, to launch a rocket of desire that begins summoning what is desired to it. So by being exposed to something resistant in nature, a stronger desire is born out of it, which is the basic nature of what these vaccines do, isn't it? By introducing something to the body, then the body responds to what's being introduced to it and stands in a stronger place. Isn't that the theory behind the vaccine?
Yeah, and if all that was being exposed, like let's say for this virus, if all that was being exposed was this virus, is great, but it's all these other things they add. There is so much suffering that goes on from that component. And so there's a dichotomy of the good part and the very detrimental part.
Sort of like all contrast in that sense, which is why some intuitiveness could be helpful in knowing. So Esther's sister introduced to Esther a phrase that Esther has been enjoying and utilizing profusely ever since: poop to value ratio. And from our perspective, we wouldn't be considering the poop to value ratio. We'd be looking only for the value and forget about the poop. But in most things there is that. So what is your feeling about that?
It's getting worse. All right, just the original intent behind it is being lost in how it, in what, where we're at. And I understand that we're evolving, and I fully understand that, 99.9% of the scientists involved in producing this have the best intention in mind.
We agree with everything that you've said and everything that you think about this. In other words, we understand what you're getting at, but consider it from this point of view. Let's think about it in terms of the rumble strip. So let's say that there is an outbreak of something, and for whatever reason, it's got momentum going, and it is negatively affecting a lot of people. It's an epidemic that is affecting a lot of people. So many people that it is even bigger than an epidemic. So someone finds something that slows it, that slows the momentum of it enough that now it can be addressed in more subtle ways. So now you have a vaccine that really has done a good job in terms of slowing something that had a lot of momentum, but there are side effects from the vaccine. And could we, for sake of clarification, call those side effects sort of like the rumble strip? In other words, there's much more to be done, but at least the larger momentum was stopped.
Yeah, in that scenario. So then the problem where it comes for me is in these situations where we are trying to prevent something, and it's really not clear that we're preventing anything, but we know we are causing other harm.
Well, we would take a good look at that, because for the most part there is a prevention of something, or it wouldn't have been moved forward. But it gets very convoluted, because there are bodies of people that are pushing against big pharmacy. There are rivers of consciousness that are pushing against greed in medicine. There is so much resistance in the idea itself that it's not easy to get back to the clarity of the original intent or value of it to begin with.
Yes, I'm with you there.
This is the message that we would like to express with clarity, and volume isn't the right word, intensity, clarity, certainty, sureness, that when life causes an asking because there is a disease that is underway and a solution is being sought, that there is a increasing of the solution, and that some who are in the receiving mode will receive the idea of the solution. But when the large bodies of those who are wanting to receive the solution are pushing hard against this and that and this and that, then it's difficult to be in the receiving mode. And so you end up with things that are not as satisfying and not as completely fulfilling as they could be. But they can get better and better and better and better, because there is no idea, there is no invention, there is no creation that is ever finished. It just improves and improves and improves. You have to understand, every person who would sit in the hot seat and ask a specific question about a specific thing, we're talking to this individual in relationship with the resistance that they hold. And our guidance is about where they're at in relationship to what they want and where they are at. You see what we're getting at? You can't take any of our answers and use them across the board for everyone, because there are not two people who are in the same vibrational place. But we do not think that there is any question that vaccines have quelled a lot of...
Yes, I definitely recognize where the benefits have been for some. It's just those sums that where it hasn't been, and that's part. And I'm understanding what you're saying. My hope is just because we're still learning about it.
Our desire is that each individual hears some of what we have to say, recognizes that they are extensions of source energy, recognizes that they have guidance within them, recognizes that their individual life will cause them to ask for solutions, and that the solutions are forthcoming, and that when they get in the receiving mode, their path will light up for them. Their path will light up for them. And it is never our desire that anyone come to us or anyone and ask us to define their path. What we are wanting to define is your way to your ability to define your own path. And that way, each individual will know the perfection of the impulses that are coming to them. Further, it is our desire that no one ever move forward in protection against anything. Because when you are in a protective stance, you've got resistance within you that takes you out of the receiving mode to receive the benefit of what you're reaching for. It's got to be inspired. You have to feel like you want to go toward it before there is any real open valve for the receiving of the benefit of it anyway. We're surprised that any of you can find anything to eat in your time-space reality, because someone has told you what's wrong with nearly everything. Don't eat the fat, and don't eat the carbohydrates, and do not eat the chemicals, and do not eat the preservatives, and do not eat the color additives, and do not eat this if it hasn't been raised on a farm where there aren't any farms like that anymore. In other words, it's got to only be organic. And you say, all right, and if all of you go to get only organic, then there's no food for most of you, because there's not enough organic food to go around these days. And so the rest of you say, well, we should eat organic or we should starve. So there it is, no dinner tonight, kids. Path of least resistance does not come in extremes. It comes in doing the best that you can do from where you stand, and continuing to improve your vibrational nature so that you improve your own personal point of attraction, so that the universe yields to you what you are asking for and what you are ready to let in. And so the thing that is tricky about this conversation, and so many, as it is regarded to politics or government or science or medicine, is that so many of the masses do not want to take responsibility for their own point of attraction. They want somebody else to figure it out and to define it with clarity and to make sure that it is exactly right for everyone, and then package it, put a very low price on it, and get it on the shelves. And we say, you are the creator of your own reality. It's your job to let life help you define what you want. It's your job to let your rockets of desire soar. Your inner being is standing there with them. And when you tune to that, you'll know what to do. You'll feel the exhilaration in moving toward it. Don't put things in place to stop things. Line up with the momentum, because your inner being is about thriving. Your inner being is about the eternal nature of that which is you. The cells of your body are too. And the cells of your body are so resilient. The cells of your body can receive so much nurturing, so much nutrition from so many different places. But if you get a mindset and you put it in place between you and what your cells are trying to accomplish, that says this is bad for me, and 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 this is bad for me, when it's mostly all that's available, then you put yourself in a resistant place that you do not need to be in. Accept your beings as the adaptive beings that they are. Trust the cells of your body to figure out what to do. Don't ask yourselves to remain as you were 10 years ago or 50 years ago or 100 years ago. You are adaptive beings, you see, guided from source, who knows intimately and infinitely everything about you.